Kennedy.
And I'm Karis.
And welcome to the first episode of Girl Talk No Text. Today, we are going to be talking about the essence of a Black woman and what it means to us.
Yes.
So to me, the essence of a Black woman is Black women being extraordinary.
Yes. For me, the essence of a Black woman is her resilience.
And I wanted to open up with this quote by Ava DuVernay, and it says, "Black girl magic is a rallying call of recognition. Embedded in the everyday is a magnificence that is so easy to miss because we're so mired in the struggle and what society says we are." And I think that goes right into our first point of stereotypes. And I know you're kind of a loud person, so just a little bit.
Yeah,
and
we know.
I mean, I can be loud, but I'm kind of on the tamer side. And like for Black women in general, we're automatically assumed to be angry, ghetto, ratchet, and loud. And I think by us going to the same school at one point, that was just like a prominent factor of it.
Yes.
Because you and I had such different experiences there. Like, I still go there and you no longer go there.
Yes.
But for me, I started there in second grade, and now I'm a junior. So I've been there for like 9 years, going on 10 years now. I know, it's a long time. And I've kind of gotten into the area of being the focal Black person or the diversity factor of the school. And like when the school has commercials, best believe I'm in there. But because I am the poster diversity, aspect for the school. And I think that kind of makes me feel like, am I less Black? Am I losing my Blackness by being the good Black girl, for all these white people?
Yeah. It was definitely a different experience for us. While you were seeing more of like the token Black girl, you were the poster child. I came in a little later, you can't have two poster children. There's only one. So I got forced onto the other stereotype of this is a non-friendly Black. And got kind of, oh, she's loud, she's ghetto, she's over dramatic, oh, you're taking everything too seriously, kind of saw the microaggressions and just the blatant racism to my face, and you kind of just like try to deal with it, like, like I'm just who I am, like I'm not going to feed into these stereotypes. If I'm loud, I'm not. But at the same time, you're just kind of like, this is exhausting, you know? I should be who I can be, like I'm a Black woman, with everything that comes with me. You can't just put this label on me and make me feel like crap, It's like you just kind of dust it off. At the same time, you're like, it's a little hard to dust.
And I think even like you said with the microaggressions, and I can remember times when situations have angered me so bad in that school, and I get mad, and they like, who is this? And they're like, oh, like, I'm sure they think, oh, her Black side coming out. And I'm like, no, that's not it at all. It's just like, I am very like slow to anger. Well, I get irritated very easily, but I'm slow. Like, it takes a lot for me to get to that point of anger. But when I get there, you get out of my way. Like, that's exactly what it is. And I feel like for you, you're just more vocal about your anger, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But I think that kind of shows that Black women are afraid to be vulnerable. Yeah. Because when we do show that anger, now all of a sudden we're the angry Black girl. And you kind of got that image while being at that school, that you can't show your emotions something other than happiness and, being jolly all the time without being this angry Black girl. And it makes you not want to be vulnerable around people. And that should not have to differ between races at all. And I feel like you had to hide that aspect of yourself. Like, I don't want to speak for you, but like looking from my point of view, it's like you had to hide that aspect. And I even had to find myself, because I'm a very emotional person. Like, anyone who knows me, I'm very emotional. Not even just like anger, but I mean like crying. I cry in matters of when I'm frustrated. I'm overwhelmed. I'm embarrassed. Like, and it's not even like I'm sad. It's just like that's my go-to instinct is to cry. And in so many relationships, even like platonic and, romantic, I'm afraid to open up that vulnerability because I don't want to be seen as weak.
Yeah, I think with those views that we are seeing, whether either we're over emotional or just like the anger that the only emotion we can feel is anger, you kind of shut off everything else. Either you give into it or you try to fight it so much. Like, I know with like the whole school situation, I was not being the biggest class clown, making everyone laugh or getting straight A's and upset so I'm not talking, it was always an issue. If I cried, everyone's like, why she be so dramatic and like turn on me and don't care. If I showed that I was upset, then, oh, she's faking it. Oh, she's not actually like, if I was hurt, oh, she's not actually hurt. Like, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Like, why? And it's just kind of like, well, I'll just stick to these emotions then, because you kind of get turned off from what everyone think of you. Like, as Black women, I think a lot of us go through this. Like, you get stuck with certain, not even just images, but emotions. Like, if you are not fitting into this emotion for everyone, if you're not always cheerful, or if you're not always angry, if you're not always quiet, they're just kind of like, oh, like you said, who is she? Like, oh, we don't like her. We don't know her. Like, you kind of just like, oh, I you're stuck in this bubble now, because you're like, well, I can't feed into the stereotype, but if I'm already in this bubble, I can't get out of it.
Right. And even more, like, going into depth about the whole angry part. Like, as far as Black love situation, so many Black men are like, oh no, I'm not gonna be with no Black girl because they ghetto, they're loud, they always mad, they always trying to find something to argue about. And it's like, it's so unfair to us as Black women in general that we are put into these boxes of being labeled as angry, as being ghetto, as being loud, and we can't just be us. Like, all of that, why can't all of that just be a part of us and stop having it in such a negative connotation? Because white people get mad, they get angry, they get loud, all this stuff. And it's just like, now because of us, it's like, because it's us, they looking at it like it's a bad thing. And I know, like, 50 Cent, he had talked about Black women not being exotic, or he wants these exotic women because they're much more beautiful and all this stuff, and they don't come with the hardships of dating a Black woman or being with a Black woman. But I think Black women are like that because we're so strong, and you know, we are afraid to be vulnerable with our partner. And it's just like, we hold up so many walls around ourselves because we are afraid of being hurt and afraid of being let down, afraid of being thought of as less than, because we are constantly having to prove ourselves time and time again, not only to society, but that starts reflecting, we have to prove ourselves to us, because society's view on us has changed us so much that the image of ourselves has just been broken down, and we are struggling to find that identity, to find our place in the world, and somehow we still never give up. And that goes back to what you said about resilience.
Yes, like, we are overlooked, underappreciated, disrespected, disregarded, like the most hated, you know. And I feel like at the end of the day, though, we take all of that and we use it, you know. Like, okay, you may not like me, but when I go out here and be amazing, you don't got nothing to say. You know, you may not appreciate me, but when I go make these billions of dollars, or I go create this invention that you about to use every day, you can't ignore me. You know, you may not recognize me as a person, but I'm gonna sneak up on you, and I'm gonna use that. So when I get to that top, and you looking like, how you get above me? You're not gonna be ready for it. Like, we stand here, we're like, hey, like, I'm still here. I'm still amazing. You know, you can't take that from me.
And Black women, we have two major marks against us. Not only are we Black, so from the time that, you know, everything was founded, we were less than, but we're also women. Like, now today, in modern times, you know, the women's movement, women's rights are being stood up for, but there's still the part of us being Black. So we will forever have those two marks against us. And I think that America wasn't even built for us. You know, when we got the right to vote, Black men were the first to get those rights. Women, that didn't come to what, like, it was a 75-year-long fight to get women to vote. And that's the white women. We included in it a little bit, but we not human. So how something not human gonna vote? Like, what? That doesn't make sense. But we always get the short hand of the stick. We are always, if you think, I think about it like a wishbone. You know, you pull the wishbone, you get the shorter end, you lost. That's us. We always get in that half. We are always being overlooked, like you said. We are always being doubted. We are always being limited in everything that we do. And again, we always persevere no matter what.
We do. We're fighters. We've been fighting from the beginning, you know. even though that's like one of the stereotypes, we're aggressive, you know, we're angry, but we are angry. You know, sometimes they are, but we are angry. We can be aggressive. That's the fighter in us. That's not, we're angry at you, we're angry about the situation. No, we're angry at our place in society. We're angry of the things we have to come over. We're angry that we have to fight this hard to do something that you got to do just because.
Yep.
We have been fighting from the beginning, and no matter what, and we're never gonna give up. We're never gonna stop fighting, because if that's what it takes, that's what we're gonna do. Like how we keep saying, we are resilient, we are powerful, we are strength.
Yep.
And I was like, maybe we can be angry.
Right.
You know, it's where we challenge that anger into productivity. You know, we challenge that into, we can change the world. We have changed the world. We will continue to change the world for all eternity.
Yes, the strength of Black women is just unimaginable. Like, you can't even comprehend it. Like, my dad used this analogy about two people being in this body of water, and the one on the bottom is drowning, sinking, whatever you want to call it, and they're still holding up this person, trying to get them back to safety. And I feel like in that situation, the Black women, Black community in general, but specifically Black women, is that person on the bottom. We are holding the weight of the world on our shoulders. We are trying to not only save ourselves, but also motivate people to change. We are trying to change the hearts of people that disrespect us, disregard our feelings and our emotions. And we are still putting them ahead of us, if that makes sense. You know, we are still trying to get ourselves to shore, but we dragging them along. We making sure that they survive. We're not leaving them behind, because we are not that type of people. We are generally caring people that want to fight for equality. And I think it's just ridiculous how Black women are overlooked. The strength, the courage, you know, everything of Black women, the essence of Black women are overlooked and just doubted.
Like you were saying, like, we make sure to bring everyone with us. We know no matter what side it is, whether it is the Black side or it is the woman's side, or overall the Black woman's side, we get nothing.
Yep.
But we're in it for the long run. We know how to play that long game, and we will forever play that long game. We know how to use the system. We know how to work it. Like, just even thinking, like, I know certain times when I'm listening to how my grandmother and my mama talk on the phone, they know if they change that voice a little, you're gonna get that better service, you know, no matter what it is, versus it's talking to, you know, cable man, or you're talking to the pizza guy. You might get that pizza 5 minutes faster. You might get that cable turned on the next day versus next week.
Yep.
We may not want to do it, but we know if we play that system right, it's going to be a day where we won't have to do it.
Yep.
And we do it for the next generation. My mother and my grandmother, so I won't have to sit there. And I was like, as of right now, sometimes, you know, we talk to certain people, I still got to be like, you know what, ma'am, it was really nice to meet you too. You know, I have to challenge down who I am, but at the core, we're doing it for a purpose. You know, we're saving those people, because we never know when they might have a change of heart and be like, you know what, I see her drowning, let me save her too, you know?
And I think with that, we, like, especially our generation, like us being 16, we are the pioneers of the future generation. We are the Harriet Tubman, the Rosa Parks, you know, the Sojourner Truth of our generation. We are the leaders. We have to motivate our younger Black girls to be better, to be great, be who you are. Don't lose the essence of yourself trying to help others, because you can help others, but at the end of the day, don't let them drag you down, because you have to focus on yourself, because that's what they care about. Don't give all relationships, my mother told me, all relationships needs to be 50-50. If I'm giving you something, I expect you to give me the same thing back. So if I'm trying to help you along, when I'm falling short, I expect you to pull me along. And I think it goes even further, like being in an environment where you're constantly surrounded with people that don't look like you. So like we said earlier, going to a predominantly white school, you know, there are so many instances where we are not viewed as equal, where I could be running for a class rep just how I was. And I mean, I'm spoiling the heck out of my classmates. Like, I mean, I'm campaigning. I had posters, and I even did, what was it, the Obama campaign, you know, where it's like the red, white, and blue. I had that with my face on it and my name, like, vote for me, class rep. What was it, like 7th or 8th grade?
Yeah, it was like 7th.
So I'm like 13, 14, fighting really hard for this position, and everybody telling me, oh, Kennedy, you got this. You got my vote. You're the best candidate, da-da-da-da. I'm bringing in Chick-fil-A. I mean, kind of pricey. And I'm bringing in Chick-fil-A with the sauce. Okay, not dry, with the sauce.
Can't be dry. Can't be dry. Might be the win and lose right there. They got dry nuggets.
Right. So I'm bringing this in, trying to win over your vote. And in the end, I lose. In the end, I still get the short end of the stick. No matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I try to motivate, I prepared this speech. I get it looked over by my advisor. She tells me, oh, Kennedy, this is a great speech. It wasn't good enough. What I did was not good enough. And that kind of put up a wall for me. I have still, to this day, it's been 3 to 4 years ago, I still have not run for class representative, and I won't do it. Now, that could be my ego, maybe, but I feel like I can no longer put myself out there for them to basically spit in my face.
I remember that election, too. Out of all the candidates, you were definitely the most qualified. And I was like, obviously, especially as far as that school goes, bribery is a big part of the candidacy usually, you know, whether it's, oh, they got cookies, whoa, they got brownies. I was like, she had Chick-fil-A. Like, come on, y'all. Was. And it was like, they picked the least qualified. I was like, I hate to speak bad on these people's names, but I was like, while being there, I could tell you, y'all were the least qualified to run this. Like, I hate to put them out there, but it was purely based on the fact that they were the 2 white dudes running.
Yep.
There was you, another white girl, and 2 white boys. And they were the ones who won. And you just sit there and look like, y'all ain't tell us nothing. You ain't promised us nothing. It was purely just based off how you look at it, like the common struggle in society and common politics. It's how the ladder goes. You have your white men, your black women, your white women, black women, all the way down here. No matter how hard we try, no matter how hard we fight, when we have either the same qualifications or more, we get pushed to the bottom because of our status.
Yep.
Like you said, I was like, maybe the ego thing, but you kind of just be sitting there like, I ain't gonna do this again. You won't let me look like a fool. Like my parents always, I ain't boo-boo the fool. Like, I don't know who you tried today. It's not me. But you just kind of remember like, okay, like, I got to keep fighting. But at that moment, you're just like, you're so defeated. And I was like, I think in the back of our head, we're like, you know, I'm going on to greater things. I'm going to keep fighting. Like, this might not be like the biggest loss. But at that time, you're like, I did all this for you to win? Like, come on, y'all.
And I think a perfect example of that is the election that just passed. You know, and Kamala Harris, she initially ran to be president. But America wasn't ready for that. They weren't ready for a woman. Definitely not ready for no black woman to be up in there, or of color, because she's also Native American. But they were not ready for that at all. And so, even though she is now the vice president, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, top of the line. Like, I can't even fathom how amazing it was to watch that. But she being vice president, that still shows a setback. It still shows that America is not ready for black women. Like, she put up a fight. She did. And people may not have agreed with her policies, but people also didn't agree with Trump's policies, Biden's policies, and any of the presidents that came, you know, before her. And for her to be subjected to vice president, it shows that, you know, they can't take us. They're not ready for us yet. And like you said, we can be on the same level as white. We can have the same opportunities as the white man, and we're still always going to come up short no matter what. We're always going to be viewed as less than, as not good enough.
Yes, like no matter what the black woman does, it just doesn't matter. You see with Kamala, the only way we could go see someone like ourselves in office, and as amazing as that she got there, and we are so beyond grateful and like happy that it happened. Like we remember like how it happened. Like we remember we cried when it happened. But the only way she could get that was to let a white man be above her. She was striving for that same position as him, but she stepped down because her country wasn't ready for her, but she was ready for her country. She was willing and ready to do what was right for her country, but her country would never do the same for her. And she just had to sit there and she had to take that because she knew in the long run, she knew how to play that game. You know, she knew, okay, y'all, I know, y'all, my man was ready for me. And I accept that because we will always do what's best for our country, even when it doesn't do what's best for us. And it reminds me of the Bruno Mars song, Good Grenade. And it's like, I would die for you, but you wouldn't do the same. And we have died for this. We had multiple. We had died getting to this country. So many of us have passed or just been drained for this country. And yet it still disregards us. It still looks the other way, you know, when anything happens to us, you know. And as much, I don't mean to hit on our black men, but, you know, when they get shot down in the street, they get protests. You know, when we get shot up in our homes, we get a quick little, like, IG post. And then people forget about us in a month. And you're just kind of sitting there like, are we not as important? Are we not as special? Do we not mean the same thing to these people as these black men do, as these white kidnapped girls do, you know, as these police officers, white police officers that get shot, you know? Do we not matter as much as these other people?
And that just shows that Black women do so much for this country. I mean, we bend over backwards just to be seen. We over here in the back doing flips to be seen, and we still being blocked by the white people, by Black men, by white people, you know, in general. And again, like you said, nothing against Black men at all. But on the scale, we are at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, we're the soot, like on the bottom. Like
they scraping that barrel for us. They scraping it.
I mean, we're the bottom of the barrel. And even going back to Kamala, I mean, in no way to belittle her accomplishments because she has broke so many barriers. I mean, the first female vice president, first Black vice president, the first female Black vice president. Like, you know, she has broken so many barriers. She has become an inspiration for Black girls everywhere. And I remember, like you said earlier, during the election, and I remember, you know, sharing this with you later, that I'm sitting in a room as the only Black person and the only Black girl in the room among a whole bunch of white people, male and female. And I'm watching this election. It's being broadcasted on the projector. And I'm just sitting there and I'm crying. And they're looking at me like, girl, what? They look like, girl, you okay? Like, this happens every 4 years. Like, what's going on? But I'm like, they are not going to be able to understand. They cannot fathom how much this means to me, how much of an inspiration this is to me. Because I want to be a judge. And now I want to be, maybe eventually become a Supreme Court justice. But there's a lot of steps that I have to take before then. There are going to be a lot of obstacles. And it's not going to be handed to me. I'm going to have to fight. And right now, my parents try their best to shield me from the faults of the world, the racism in the world. But at the end of the day, it's just things that they cannot protect me from. And I think the election was just such a big motivation for me. It just, let me know that it is possible. And slowly but surely, the world is taking a step in the right direction.
Yes, like, I remember when I cried during election. Like I said, I cried during election. Standing in the middle of my kitchen, you know, I didn't have my virtual classes, you know, standing in the middle of my kitchen, listening to gospel, of course. You can't not listen to gospel when something historic is happening. And just cry, having a whole breakdown, like, thank you, Jesus type of breakdown. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, Harris, I swear if someone was courting you right now, you look absolutely, like, certified insane. But no one else understands but us Black women. It took us forever to get here. But now, like, we're here. No one can take this away from us. No one can ever say again, we are not qualified for those type of positions. Like, we got here. We got it. You can't take it back. You know, you can't deny that it happened. You can't erase it out of the history book. You can't whitewash it. It happened. We were here. And I knew in that moment, along with me and you, there are a lot of other Black women, not just in America, but across the world, crying, seeing this, you know, seeing the change happen extremely slowly, but still surely and steady at that.
And like you said, This is one thing, without a doubt, that they cannot take away from us.
No, they can't.
They can never say that they had the first female vice president, because they did not. And it proves in the history books, she will go down. If nobody else in Black history goes down in the books, she absolutely has to. I mean, being on all the little posters with the VPs. Yeah, she got to go on there. And she will be the only brown face that you see. They can never say that they had the first female vice president, because we had that, and that is something that they can never, ever, no matter how hard they try, take away from us, right? Mm-hmm. We got that. Black Girl Magic did that. Y'all do that.
Y'all can't touch that. We got it.
Right.
Nana, boo, boo.
Right,
we got
honestly. It. And like, that's something that was dangling in our face, and we grabbed it, we took it, and we ran with it. Yeah. We made history. She made history for all colored people, for all Black women. She became the inspiration. She is the pioneer. She is leading the journey behind Michelle Obama, who was the first, we saw her.
Right, we gotta give Michelle our props.
Right, we gotta give her props, because she held us down. Now Kamala's coming up, and just making history and proving that we can be something with our lives.
Yes, we're everything.
We are everything.
Like, we have it in the bag, whether not just that position, but everything we do, everything we touch, turn to gold. Yep. What's that? The Midas touch? That's us right there.
Right.
Boop.
Right.
We make things extraordinary. We take the small that we are given, the little, the dust particles, the scraps of every other race, of the male gender. And we make it great for ourselves, and we don't just keep it for ourselves. We don't just keep it. We share it with everybody, because we're not bitter. Right. I was like, out of all the things we have been through, we should be bitter, but we're not. And we just like to share it with other people, and especially within our own community. We have to remember to love within our own community and build each other up. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to love you like you love yourself. But if anyone else is going to understand you, it's going to be other Black women. It's going to be you, It's going to be every other person. Like, you're going to understand me like I understand me. I can't go talk to another person like, oh, y'all, my hair today. They're going to be like, just put water. Water? Excuse? Like, no. Like, we understand each other. Absolutely. And that we have to keep this bond. We have to keep this, We have to keep this sister circle, We have to keep it all within us.
Definitely. And I think this whole episode, this whole discussion has just shown over and over what it means to be a Black woman, what it means to be resilient, to be determined, to be powerful, to be focused, determined, all these things, to be talented. And, no matter how much society tries to bring us down, they can't. So, to end this off, we have a little Black history fact. And today, the woman that we will be, presenting, her name is Maya Shaka. I think I'm saying that right. And she has been in the headlines recently because she is the first African-American female to be an NFL official. And I think that is the essence of a Black woman, breaking barriers.
So congratulations to you.
And thank you for paving the way.
Yes. And never forget, we are the blueprint.
We are the teachers.
We are the history. We are everything.
And again, I'm Kennedy.
And I'm Karis.
And thank you for joining us in this episode of Girl Talk.
No text.